Pawn, Drum Boxing, aka Mr. Moonshine himself. Interesting news, ladies and gentlemen. Interesting news. Now, first and foremost, I really didn't think that a Canelo Alvarez versus Errol the True Spence will be a fight that will come through fruition. Nah. I hear the talks, I hear the videos in the YTBC, I hear the mass media talking about it, and maybe because Errol Spence just recently had a fight with Ryan Garcia, and Canelo Alvarez had a fight with Callum Smith, and of course it's Texas, so people's talking about it. Maybe, maybe this fight could come through fruition. Maybe it's a money fight. But I'm like, damn, Errol Spence moving up 3 weight classes. Y'all already know that Canelo Alvarez is campaigning on 168, and still Errol Spence is campaigning in welterweight division, and still people want to see the Bud Crawford fight. So people, Canelo Alvarez, Errol Spence, nah, that's too much. 3 weight classes too much. Maybe 2, but I'm saying Canelo Alvarez is not going to come back down to the 160. He said he would have become undisputed 168, so I never saw him coming back down. I wish that if he plans not to come back down, that he does vacate that super WBA title that he has no desire in defending and coming back to 160. But today, during the Ryan Garcia, Luke Campbell press conference, Eddy Reynoso, Canelo Alvarez trainer, said, he was asked a question by Eddy, shout out to Eddy, and he said, what about, he was talking about these other fighters for Canelo Alvarez. What's the next for Canelo Alvarez? And he said, yeah, we could fight, in the 68-pound, Charlo, David Benavidez, Kevin Smith, everybody else, right? And then he said, but what about Errol Spence? And he said, yeah, Errol Spence, if he wants to move up, then yeah, that could be a fight. So he said a bunch of stuff there, that Canelo Alvarez don't duck anybody, that he faced anybody that don't duck and dodge anybody, they'll fight whatever or whoever. He's been like that ever since he was a kid and things of that nature, right? But then he said, right in the end, he said, the only person that will go back down to 160 is for the Errol Spence fight. And I said, wow. The only person that will go back down to 160 is to fight Errol Spence. That right there tells me that he should really vacate that WBA super title, because the only person that he's going down there to fight is Errol Spence. When that's going to be? Wow. Now with that fight, you give legitimacy that Errol Spence is a money man. Because if it makes, Demetrius Andrade is not going to make him go to 160 back with a strap. Jamal Charlo is not going to make him go to 160. Triple G is not going to make him go to 160. But he said the only person, this is his trainer, it's not Canelo Alvarez, that the only person that they will go down to 160 is for Errol Spence. That means that Errol Spence is more important than Triple G, more important than Demetrius Andrade, more important than Jamal Charlo. Why is he more important? Maybe that's his last. Maybe that's a money fight. I'm not even thinking that Errol Spence is this big money guy. I still don't think. Of course, he has 3 pay-per-view under his belt, but I still haven't seen him as that money guy yet, like a cash cow. I still don't see Errol Spence like that. I see that he make good money and potential to make more, but I still don't see him as a million pay-per-views or even 800 pay-per-views, things of that nature. But it looks like Canelo Alvarez and his trainer knows the cachet that Errol Spence bring. That you're only going to come down to 160 for Errol Spence. So Errol Spence is a hot commodity. Maybe I do need to start taking this fight a little bit serious. And if it's 2 division, then that will be okay. We give props to Michael Garcia for striving for greatness. 2 division weight class to go to Errol Spence. I still think that Canelo Alvarez will win that fight. But if we're going to give credit to the Kell Brooks of the world for striving for greatness, if we're going to give credit to Roy Jones Jr. for striving for greatness and going 2 weight classes and going to the heavyweight from the lightweight, if we're going to give credit to Kell Brooks for fighting Triple G, even these guys lost, but they say, Hopkins says himself, you move up, you're striving for greatness. So, we want to stop Errol Spence from striving for greatness just for 2 weight classes, in which we know he is a big welterweight? If he goes to 154, what big fight does he have there? Is it Lava a big fight? Is it Jason Rosario? Is it Hurd? Is it J-Rock? Is it Jamel Charlo? Are they gonna fight? No. So I do think that he will skip 154 if it's about the money. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this fight is actually closer to be made than the Bud and Spence. And now I see. Now I understand. See, before, if Eddy Reynoso never said nothing about 160, they will come back to 160. Because I said he's not going to come back 160. But it's for Errol Spence, then Errol Spence had this cachet that they're ready to sacrifice his body for Errol Spence fight. Thus, Bud Crawford and Errol Spence is never going to fight. You know what? Errol Spence doesn't need Bud. Bud doesn't need Errol Spence. I mean, legacy and money is all with Canelo for Errol Spence. And if Canelo Alvarez acknowledged that he will move back down to 160 with a guy that doesn't even have a title, that means that Canelo Alvarez sees Errol Spence as a real hot commodity. A real hot commodity. The type of hot commodity like a golden boy, like Oscar de la Hoya when he fought Manny Pacquiao. I will come back down to a weight class. I'm not saying they're much of a big star like that. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that Errol Spence is into the Oscar de la Hoya or Manny Pacquiao. Not even close. But the sacrifice that Canelo Alvarez will make just tells me something about how much they think about the Errol Spence fight. It's time to take Errol Spence as a cash cow of boxing. Kind of serious. Shout out to those channels that kept it consistent with Errol Spence. I give you that. Surprised me. But let me know what you think of it. Let me know what y'all think about it. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. Got my updated videos. Love y'all. God bless. And on to the next.